What's up, people? So today is Halloween 2018, and I figured I'd share this story. I've had people ask this story or ask me about this for a while, for years. And I haven't really talked about it much just because I thought it was kind of weird. But so I've had a couple experiences with angels. Kind of weird, right? And I guess that's probably one reason why I haven't talked about it is just because anytime somebody talks about supernatural, it's kind of weird. But here we go. I'll share with you my experiences. And you know, I'm gonna probably disable the comments on this because it doesn't really matter what people think. So people are either gonna think I'm crazy or not. But here we go. So 2 for sure, and possibly others. The first time I was 15 years old, and I was at church camp. So I was born and raised in church, and then slipped away from church for over a decade. Whatever, and I've come back around. I got something in my eye, I'm sorry. So first time I was 15, I was at church camp. I know it's going to sound funny, but I got in a fight. I was really ornery as a kid, as a teenager. I liked to fight, I liked to party. I was pretty ornery. So I got in a fight with a kid, and I pulled a knife, ended up stabbing him 4 times and cutting him on the arm. Yep. So obviously that was bad. He lived, but it was really bad. And you know, the sheriff's department came out, they arrested me, and took me to jail. And when they took me to jail, they put me in a drunk tank. And they put me in the drunk tank. There was an old guy with cutoff shorts on, barefoot. I think he had a blue shirt on, drunker than 100 monkeys. Probably, he could have been like 26, but he looked like he was, you know, mid 40s, late 40s, 50s. Total burnout, hillbilly, whatever. He was smashed, and apparently he was on the lake and he was drunk, so they arrested him and brought him in. So I was in there. I don't remember how long I was in there for, and we talked a little bit, and he went on to tell me that, you know, basically I need to straighten up my act, and or he recommended. He didn't tell me anything what I needed to do. He's basically just like, man, you don't want to end up like me. You know, make good decisions, stop drinking, stop partying, you know, all that business. And I was like, all right, whatever, old man. So then they came and they got me out of the cell and took me to a desk and questioning and all that stuff, and I got questioned, whatever. So that whole thing went down, and we ended up going back to the church camp, but staying in another building on the other side of camp. Stayed the night there, and the next morning woke up and they took me to go meet my parents, and I went home. So that was that, and that was in 1990. And yeah, I was 15, and yeah, so whatever. You know, and I remember that guy that was in the drunk tank with me, and whatever. And so probably 2010 or 12, my dad came to me, and so when I went to jail, a couple of the guys, the church counselors, you know, fathers of the other kids, whatever, they went with me, and they were there the whole time. So one of our family friends that we grew up in church with, his name's Mike, stopped my dad in the hallway, like I said, probably 2010, and I don't know what was on Mike's heart to share it with my dad or what brought it up, but Mike said, "Hey, Steve, did Brian ever tell you about the time when he, after the incident, church camp incident, and he went to jail and went in the drunk tank and talked to some old guy in there?" And Dad's like, I don't know, I don't remember. Well, apparently Mike did. Because I was going on and on about this guy in the drunk tank. I'm like, man, I can't believe they put him in there with me, whatever. this is what he said. So I was telling them all about it after we got back to church. And Mike looked my dad in the eye and he's like, Steve, there was nobody in that room, that cell with Brian the whole time because he was a minor. And we were there the entire time. Nobody was in there when Brian went in there. They didn't put anybody in there when Brian went in there, and they didn't take anybody out when Brian was in there. There was nobody in there with Brian. So my dad told me that, and I was like, what, dude? Like, no way. I remember it. I remember the guy. And so Mike told my dad, he's like, I think Brian saw an angel. He talked to an angel. And so my dad shared that with me, and it's pretty freaky, right? Second incident, I think I was, or not incident, second time, I think I was 17 or 18. Was dating, it was in high school, and dating my ex-wife when we were dating in high school. And she broke up with me, and I was all distraught and upset and whatever, and decided it'd be a good idea to kill myself. So I got into my parents' medicine cabinet, and my mom, they had a bunch of pills, and I took them all. I don't know, probably, 75, 100 pills, whatever. I got a canteen of water and got all the pills and hopped in my 83 Honda Prelude and drove out in the middle of town and sat in a parking lot and shoved them all in my mouth, handfuls at a time. Gulp, gulp, another handful, gulp, gulp, another handful. And I sat there, I remember that, I did that, and I was crying, you know, whatever, and I remember doing that, all the pills were gone. It's like, I don't want to die. Like, it's not my time. I just felt this wasn't my time. I just didn't want to die. So I was scared. So what I do, went to the emergency room. Walked in the emergency room. Hey, I walked in the doors, and it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning. Told the lady, I was like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute? And she's like, nope, you need to come in here, sir. And there was a cop and everything. I'm like, all right. I said, well, I just took a bunch of pills, and I don't want to die. Changed my mind. And she's like, all right, so whatever. Went through that whole deal, drinking the charcoal and all that stuff. So my mom shows up. She's like, oh my gosh, you know, upset. My dad was out of town working, and so whatever. And this young doctor comes in, dark-haired guy, baby face like Doogie Howser, clean cut dude. He comes in, and my mom was sitting here, and he comes and sits on a stool right here, comes up to my right arm. He's like, hey, I'm gonna take a tissue sample for testing and, you know, see where we are. He's like, man, so what's going on? And he took a cotton swab, and he swabbed my arm, and he's like, what's going on? I was like, I tried to kill myself. He's like, man, you know, there's so much more to life. And so he gave me the little hoo-yah speech, and he's like, man, you got purpose, everybody's important, everybody's got purpose, all this and that, whatever. I'm like, yeah. And my mom, we're sitting there listening to this guy talk, and he's like, man, well, good luck, whatever. So he gets up and walks out. I was like, that was weird. He didn't even punch a hole in my arm. Like, he just sat there and talked to me. So the nurse comes in, pulls the curtain, she's like, who's that? And we're like, I don't know, some doctor. He's coming to do a tissue sample. She's like, well, we've never seen him. He doesn't work here. So they looked for him, and they never found him. Weird, right? So those are the two instances in my life, the two times that I believe that I spoke to angels. I believe that angels are real, obviously, and people run into them all the time. I believe God talks to us, and through his beings, through angels. And I believe if you're not careful, demons will do the same. So it's important to be able to discern between the two. But that's my story. I mean, I got a ton more stories, weird stuff that happened when I was in Iraq, Afghanistan. Man, times I should have been dead, and I'm not. So I'm pretty big on this purpose train. I believe everybody has purpose. I ain't dead yet because God ain't done. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Love y'all. Have a great day. Later.